Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Jenny. I was born and raised in New York, and currently I live in New York City as a visual merchandiser. So let's go back to the beginning. So I feel like it's quite a massive conversation. It's a really complicated niche and holistic field of study. So I kind of want to treat this more as like an academic conversation to talk about visual merchandising. Okay, thanks. So I want to say the purpose of visual merchandising. Our mission is to create beautiful, compelling spaces to drive business. And to begin, I want to ask some challenging questions that I think are fun to entertain in understanding visuals. First and foremost, what makes a space retail? And second, what makes a space beautiful? I think sight is our primary sense of navigating the world, and we've developed it in a way where there's so many different definitions of beauty now. And then lastly, how does this beauty that we understand encourage business? So these are three kind of core questions to think about. And essentially, how does one successfully create a space that's beautiful while holding the root of increasing sales in mind? It's basically like a balance of two halves of the brain, you could say. And usually, from what I've experienced, you serve sort of as the visual artist, and you're given the brushes and the paint and the prompt to kind of create a painting, you could say, in the space of the store. And so in the next slides, we'll take a look at actually the Prada Broadway Epicenter store. It's their biggest square footage store in downtown New York City. It's in Soho, where I feel like it's a good world to kind of see how these questions are challenged. So architecture and interior spaces are bridged with brand concepts to kind of create an unfamiliar world, and you're going to see that with the Prada space. So this is a display that was created in 2013 for the fall-winter collection, titled like Iridescence. You can see that Prada really, she creates a concept collection, and then it's translated in the physical space, extending to the whole store space from the clothing from the beginning. This is wallpaper that was designed by 2x4, which is a design consultancy and agency based in New York City. This is in 2009, and it's called New Masters. Basically, for Prada, the wallpaper is such a big, important part of the space because it kind of envelops you as you enter the store. And Prada changes the wallpaper 2 times a year so that it matches the collection. And I want to actually focus on this slide a bit. I think it's important, so I will read it. As museums, libraries, airports, hospitals, and schools become increasingly indistinguishable from shopping centers, their adoption of retail for survival has unleashed an enormous wave of commercial entrapment that has transformed museum goers, researchers, travelers, patients, and students into customers. The result is a deadenly loss of variety. What were once distinct activities no longer retain the uniqueness that gave them richness. What if the equation were reversed so that customers were no longer identified as consumers, but recognized as researchers, students, patients, and museum goers? So what if the shopping experience were not one of impoverishment, but of enrichment? And Rem Koolhaas described this when he built and designed the Prada Broadway Epicenter. And this kind of reverts back to my first question, like what makes a space retail? And I think what's really neat about the Prada Broadway store is that it really challenges that concept. You can see this is the Fall-Winter 2016 collection, where it really doesn't almost feel like a store. It's kind of like an art exhibition. You have Willy Vanderpeer's campaign kind of projected onto the stairs. So from this angle, you kind of see an image in front of the clothes that the image is displaying. And then this is the stage space of the store where you can actually open the wave down. If you look back at this one, it's closed. So it's a multifunctional space. And we've had events and performers kind of perform in this setup where we put the stage down, especially for Fashion Week, so that it exists as not just like a store, but it's a performance center. And then this is a photograph of a lecture that took place where a lot of attendees were sitting on the stairs to watch the speaker speak. And then this is an image taken from the Oma and Ole Sharon website. It's basically part of the store. They wanted to create like a hanging city, which is a set of movable cages that are suspended from the ceiling to display clothes and mannequins and accessories. And these cages are equipped with like audio and visual equipment so that you can actually move everything around depending on the different themes of the collection and etc. And you can see here where Prada we put mannequins and merchandise in the cages to kind of create the space. So he also says that Prada is extremely directed in terms of communicating what they like and what they don't like. And that's actually extremely unpleasant because it clarifies very easily what you can do and what you need to do. So it's important because as a visual merchandiser, you're kind of creating the brand's vision and you have to understand very clearly kind of the authenticity of the message. That's the most important part, I would say. And this is a display that I recently did for our last Linea Rosa collection just a few weeks ago. And as you can see from this image, this is taken from the 90s. So Linea Rosa is a collection that was sort of birthed in 1997. And it is Prada's kind of like sport line, you could call it. And clearly they value from this campaign taken, almost like 20 years ago, that it's a uniform kind of concept. It's meant to be for everybody. It's unisex in a way. And then in this display in which I created, we kind of retained that message. We had mannequins kind of in the very same pose, and it's directly in the window next to this like totem of a red stripe that's lit up, so you could kind of see it from quite far away when you're outside. It's very like alluring, and I think next to the mannequins, it's the seriality that was very important. And inside, as you navigate the space, you can see there's more interactive mannequins kind of throughout the space to create a more, I'd say, like welcoming approach, because if every mannequin was stiff, it wouldn't feel so much shoppable, you could say. So to keep it short, I think what my visual director always asks me like every day when we approach creating new displays and concepts is, she goes, what is your vision? And I think, with my history in visuals, it's very important to always have one. And to kind of have one, you have to know who you are as a creator. And I think that's the best advice I could give to anybody that's kind of trying to participate in this field and succeed. Because at the end of the day, you're, being a visual merchandiser for a brand, you're most reflexively a brand ambassador, and you're displaying and creating the vision for the team to sell in your store, as well as for the public through the windows and for the clients walking inside. And I think it's kind of an honor to work for a brand like Prada because it means that they trust my creative vision to build theirs. And I think it's important to hold that in mind. And it helps you kind of develop your own vision, I would say. I think that's all I really have. I just wanted to introduce this space, so thank you.